players. But then at the very end of the year, I was sitting there with Brian Shaw, who's now in line to become the next head coach of the Lakers. And I'm in my first or second year, and it was a great learning experience for me because we're sitting there at our meetings about ready to interview with Phil and talk about the season. I said, Brian, you coming back next year? Roughly like this. And he said, I think I have a lot to offer this team. He said, of all the guys on this team, 1 to 14, I have a personal relationship with every single person. I've got everyone's cell phone. I could pick up the phone anytime and call any one of the guys. And he was the guy that was kind of the glue that helped hold, and all the guys on the team were great guys. But still in all, Brian was one of the ones who was able to hold the whole thing together in those tough moments because he took the time to get to know everybody on the team, and everyone on the team felt that Brian truly cared about them.
So let's talk for a bit about risk. As athletes, we've all taken risks in our sport, both in training and in competition. So maybe you could tell us about some of the risks that you've taken in your sport, what you've learned from them, and how you've approached them. So, I can start with this, I guess. So as a gymnast, gymnastics is a balancing act. We're constantly throwing ourselves around, holding ourselves up, and hoping that our balance is in the exact precise position that we want it to be. Otherwise, we're going to fall flat on our face from about 12 feet up in the air. So we really put ourselves out there. And one of the events that I focus on is parallel bars. And I find that every time I get up there, I don't necessarily, this doesn't go through my head, but there's always this idea that there's a bit of risk involved. So you never really know if you're going to have that positioning exactly the way you want it to be. So what we do is compensate for that by adjusting to whatever the circumstance may be in that individual routine. So with risk, you have backup. And I found through my athletic team that my teammates are basically always have my back. So with gymnastics, you compete on an individual event. There are 6 competitors, and 4 of those scores count toward the team total. So one of our mottos on the gymnastics team is to go big. When we get our team huddles together before each event, we tell each other, go big, go all out, don't hold back, have no fear, and take that risk because your teammates will have your back. And that ends up happening. Some of us have hit amazing routines, some of us have fallen flat on our face. But I've found in the past 5 years with the sport that taking that risk always pays off with our team. So, yeah.
I'd definitely like to go off of that. Obviously, in basketball, it's a game of risk as well. You're constantly making decisions. And I have kind of a funny little story. It's interesting because I'm a post, Chiney's a post. However, the game's never a game without Chiney dribbling at full court. For whatever reason it may be, she might not outlet the ball, and the coaches always, kind of explain to her that she is not a guard. And so she's right there, so it's okay for me to make fun of her right now. So it's funny because when I see that happening, I try my best to sprint in front of her so she has an option. And anytime Chiney passes the ball, she knows that she can pass it any which way, and she knows that I will always catch it. And so, in a way, her risks never look like risks because I try my best to catch it. And I just think that it's funny that she always takes that type of risk because we depend on each other so much. And we have this saying in practice, when we play against our practice guys, there might be some instances when in a previous game we didn't rebound as well. And so the coaches will say, okay, well, if they get an offensive rebound, you're running a suicide. And so that's when we all gather together and we say code red, which means anything and everything counts, which means you can foul them in any which way. And it's interesting. It sounds funny because after the guys hate it when they do that, when the coaches do that or assign that type of job, because they end up getting very hurt after practice. But when we say code red, we know it means serious business. And at that point, risks don't really matter. It's just all about the effort and the determination and kind of the connection that we have on the court in terms of guarding each other's backs. And I definitely have to go off of what Nick said there. So.
As much as I wish I had played a team sport, since ours was individual, I can't speak very much to risks that my other teammates have made. But for me personally, last year I slept wrong on my neck. I couldn't turn it a centimeter to the right without horrible pain. We had Cal the next day, and it was our Pac-10 match that counted for rankings. So it was huge. It was at home. We had to continue our home streak. It was a big deal. So my coach said, Lindsay, can you take enough ibuprofen to play? I said, yes. How could I say no to that my senior season? And I ended up taking enough ibuprofen. And we made it through the match. We won. My little sister clinched it, actually, at the spot below me at 3. I lost my match horribly, but I won doubles, which was good. But my neck was kind of never the same after that. And over the next 2 months, this was probably in March, and our season ends with NCAAs in May, there were times where I would walk out there for my service game and double fault 4 points in a row, and then hit the balls to the other side, and then try to return and play out the game because the neck injury was lingering. But I just knew that it was okay, and that it was going to get better, and that this was just a phase. And I worked with my trainers nonstop, and we got the neck better by NCAAs, enough time to get my serve going again, and I ended up playing the best tennis of my career at NCAAs. And I don't know what it was, but through the pain, through my coaches beating their head against the wall, wanting to shake me and say, what is wrong with you? You've never had a serve problem before. I knew that it was the right thing to do, and I didn't regret playing through that match at Cal, and I knew that it was all going to work out. I don't know how. And I think the biggest thing behind that was my teammates had my back. I knew our physical trainer, Myra, was going to do everything in her power to help me treat the injury, and I don't know, it was awesome, and I think it definitely stemmed from all the support around me, including my teammates, especially my teammates. So.
Kind of going on the theme of support with teammates and stuff, I guess I'll share a quick story about risk. My first year playing in Los Angeles was a transition year. I actually played a few minutes a game. When I was in there, I played well enough. And my second year, either my second or my third year, I can't remember which, but I had an injury. I hurt my hamstring, and it's a long process of recovery. And I came back to play, and my rhythm wasn't there. As all these guys know, it's when your rhythm's not there, it just takes a while to get back into the swing of things. So I was in the game, got fouled, went up to the free throw line, did my little routine, took the shot, and it was an air ball. This is at Staples Center, like sellout crowd. Yeah. Which in basketball it happens. I've seen people airball a shot, not a big deal. Okay, so then, but after you airball, it's always like, okay, I whatever you do, don't throw it too hard and just hit the backboard. And so then it's like, so I loosen up, get back to the line, don't shoot it too hard. So I shot again. I shot a second airball, and it was the most humiliating experience, one of the most, of my basketball and of my life, really. And so it's like, oh, it just happened. What do I do? Just act like nothing happened. And so I acted like nothing happened. Ran out of the court. But I felt so terrible. And I finished out the game, made my defensive assignments or whatever. After the game, Shaq came up to me in the side room. And, getting to the whole thing of support, he's like, hey, man, congratulations. I'm like, what? He's like, you're the first ever player in NBA history to shoot 2 consecutive air balls. He's like, okay, but he made me laugh. And but I was like, that shakes your confidence. I don't care who you are, that shakes your confidence. And I got into this thing of trying to fight back to get my confidence and my aggressiveness back. And I fought so hard and just worked on my free throws. My free throw percentage went up, got back up. And I think it was that year in the playoffs, right before the playoffs, you know, I was trying to be more aggressive. And Shaq came up to me and said, if you're open 10 times today, I want you to shoot it 12 times. Or he said something like that. And then in the playoff game that year, he comes up and says, hey, don't try to do too much. Don't try to do too little. And, you know, just that helped me go out there and take risks. The support from a teammate. We've heard a lot about support and what goes with that. And the support from him helped me take more risk on the court.
Great. So, well, we all attend or have attended Stanford, and we've all been part of the athletic program here. And I'm wondering about your perspectives on this university and why you feel Stanford has been such an athletic success. Obviously, we've developed into an incredible powerhouse over the years with 16 Directors' Cups, another one on the way, 100 national titles. It's amazing, and we've all been part of it. So is it something in the water? Is it something about are athletes unique here? Is it the program, the support staff? What is it about this university that you see that turns us or helps us to become so successful in athletics?
I mean, I honestly think that because of how high of a standard academics are held here at Stanford, that athletes have kind of a similar mentality when they're attacking their competition. It's interesting because in the locker room, we'll be having conversations about what was on CNN, and some people will walk in and they're just like, "What?" You know, like some of our team, because in USA we play against and with a lot of the people that we play against in college. And for example, last year I went to a USA event with Caleb Peterson and Jane Appel, and we were kind of just having our own little discussion, just a normal discussion, things that we talk about, and people came in and they were just like, I couldn't be in your conversation because the words were too big. And people joke around about that, but I think it's kind of it's an interesting mentality. Academics here are so rigorous, and I think we attack our sports that way, and we're so competitive in so many ways, and we have determination and discipline, and I think that culture is kind of assimilated into sports and academics, which is what I think makes Stanford so special, because for a lot of renowned universities, it's hard for them to have a great athletic program, and we've won the Directors' Cup 16 years in a row, and that's something that I have a lot of fun when we run out on the football field, and we celebrate that because not only can we do that, but we can probably score higher on the test than you can. So I think it's really interesting, and that's a big reason why I chose Stanford, because the balance was just it's unheard of, and I would think that fools would not want to come here as a student athlete. I think it's really great.
I agree. As much as I'd like to say that anyone can just decide their junior year that Stanford's what I want, okay, now I'm going to start going out after it, I think that it starts much earlier than that. There's nothing in the water. Even the nice weather helps, but it's not everything. Try practicing here every day in 65, 70-degree weather and then going back and playing in Athens, Georgia, where it's 95 and 95% humidity. It does have its slight drawbacks every once in a while, but I just think that one of the things that makes this community so unbelievable, both on the playing surface and off, is that we were so, it's hard to say this, but well-rounded from a young age. I mean, we had unbelievable people around us. Even when we were young, I think we all had those, and we're just so fortunate. I can't say that I went out and sought out these role models that I had when I was 10 myself. They were just there, and I was super fortunate to have all of them. But, I mean, they're the reason why I'm here today, not any one thing that my mom drove me to do, or any one sibling. It's like, hey, they got that, I feel like I deserve the same thing. It was just a combination of the people that I looked up to when I was younger, especially family, and I don't know, just wanting to lay it out there and do the best that you can with what you have in all aspects of life. And when you had a rough day at tennis, you say, I'm not just a tennis player, I'm doing well in school, it's all good. Then when tennis is going great, you've been on the road for 5 weeks and your teachers are calling you